Hello everyone. NIO stock stays resilient amidst challenges, down 2.95% today. Positive 4-hour indicators suggest recovery, bolstered by Abu Dhabi's $1 billion investment. What's going on with NIO stock and many tickers out there such as SPY, Tesla, and the TQQ? Talk about what the news is saying about NIO, as NIO is getting lots of these price upgrades from many other analysts out there, and why NIO is still looking kind of decent, in my opinion, despite the bad news that came out today. But before I break anything down about why NIO should bounce very soon, in my opinion, how it's looking from a technical standpoint, NIO is down 2.95% for the day. Once again, continuing to respect these new lows, continuing to drop down lower and lower and lower. But on the 4-hour time frame, NIO just tested the 200 EMA, and there's a good chance that NIO may make an attempt to bounce, as we're getting very close on the 4-hour PPO. Now, I also want to mention that NIO has been developing a bullish divergence, however, considering the 30-minute time frame. I think that's where it's going to become more realistic. It still is technically valid, and I just want to observe if NIO could try to hold these levels, because it became very oversold on the drop we saw. NIO ended up dropping because of some negative news involving the US and China, the tensions that have perpetuated, but with the market trying to bounce, NIO came down. Then it got a nice bounce afterwards. I think NIO has potential to try to fill this gap right about here. Thus, if you observe the chart's appearance, it's going to likely try to fill this gap very, very soon. We have two gaps actually all the way back up to the 13.22 level, and I think NIO is going to make its way up all the way there, and we'll break down exactly why that is, and more interesting things about that in other tickers. But let's first talk about the market. Just as a reminder, for Tuesday, we have some retail sales data, the imports and exports, all coming out. We also have cash carry from the Fed giving some speeches. So that's basically it in terms of the Fed. There's nothing too crazy coming out in terms of data until we have Wednesday, when we have the FOMC minutes coming out at about 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time. So Wednesday is the day when we're going to have bigger data coming out. But for now, it's going to be a little cooler for earnings. We have the Home Depot announcing earnings for tomorrow, Cardinal Health, and just a couple of others. For Wednesday, we have Target and Cisco, and then for Thursday, we have Walmart and others as well. Now, as far as NIO goes, traveling through Germany, the NIO ET7 is getting lots of popularity as more, and there's a growing trend of people focusing on the company as a whole, observing their noteworthy growth as we move ahead and getting a glimpse of their new models and their constant growth and strives for improvements. Now, yes, NIO is dropping, at least from a technical standpoint, and it's a little sad to witness. That's completely normal after all the pumping it got. Now, the issues with NIO are not truly in NIO's control. It's not NIO's fault that things are happening globally the way they are. I don't really want to talk too much about politics and things like that, which is why I'm not going to talk as much about why specifically. But just to be clear, despite this downside, NIO is still getting some very good eyes, different analysts and investors. I mean, we just had Deutsche Bank come out and give NIO a buy rating, and now another analyst from, I think it's Invest, they just came out. They're giving NIO a $16 price targets. I think Deutsche Bank had a $17 to $18 price target as well. So that's some very good news. Abu Dhabi also invested over $1 billion into them. Nonetheless, we're beginning to perceive a wealth of potential. One of the things that is slowing down the EV industry would be the fact that the Chinese economy has slowed down, at least for the month of August. To some extent, that is part of the negative pressure, not to mention some geopolitical issues, which I'm not going to talk into too many details about. But I just want to mention that that is happening, that is outside of NIO's control. But as long as NIO does decent with their deliveries and such, there's a good chance they could continue to improve the price. Price ratio is dropping, however. There are indications of relative weakness. To add on to this, we tend to do better on Tuesdays. It's one of the best days of the week. As for green, about 55% of the time. Same thing for Wednesdays. They tend to be a lot better Tuesdays and Wednesdays. NIO tends to be better during the second and also during the 5th and then the 7th hours of the day near the very end. As a trend, NIO tends to achieve considerably better results, at least as of the last couple of days, and the short interest has been declining a bit, which is a decent sign for the company, with the volume being 67 million. That is once again a little bit below average, which is a good sign because NIO is not necessarily dropping on a high volume. In fact, it dropped in the morning with a big drop before getting some decent volume to come back up and spent most of the day pumping. It just dropped in the morning very hard because of some negative news. But now, in my opinion, like I said earlier, I think there's a very good chance NIO is going to be pumping back to at least 13.25 over the next couple of trading days. NIO has been trying to form this divergence and then discussing the larger time frame, especially on the 4-hour. We're about to get this bullish cross. I think on the 30 minutes we're about to get that bullish cross on the PPO that's once again looking quite nice. And then it's also approaching our 50 EMA right now. I think it's going to try to get a break above it. If it does manage to break this, there's going to be a good chance of NIO trying to push higher. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of these levels up here. We observe numerous unfilled gaps above. Furthermore, a state of balance is also evident in this area. It could be on its way up to about 13.3 to 13.8 or so once we get those nice pumps. Once the reversal starts, and there's a chance to start right now because it came down very hard. This could be like a liquidity grab. They're trying to grab liquidity down, then pump the markets afterwards. I think there's a good chance of that now. What's going to help NIO would be the overall market, because I just want to mention that Tesla had a triple bullish divergence that developed, and to add on to that, after forming this triple bullish divergence, Tesla's once again getting very close to fill the gap at 242, and breaking that would take this thing to about 245, so it's looking quite good. And on top of that, we have a potential reversal pattern developing on it. Very, very strong close for Tesla, forming a potential bullish wedge right over here, which is bullish. So I'm going to be expecting Tesla to pump into the very least, if not 245 by tomorrow. I'm leaning more bullish on Tesla for that manner. Apple looks bullish with this nice inverse head and shoulder structure, which is going to launch this thing all the way up easily to 180 plus. If not higher than that, 181.5 is on the table. Looks more bullish. Nvidia also looks bullish, gonna be 442 QQQ. 372 plus to get to 374. And for Nvidia, once again, this imbalance up here, I think it has the potential to go all the way up to 442 and actually reach that in the after hours. Could go all the way up to 450, though it's not done in my opinion. So technicals look bullish. We may gap down for some stocks out there, but NIO came down so hard to the point where it's trying to rebound. I think it's going to make its way all the way back up to the 13s. My target is 13.25 over the next couple of days, and a break above that makes 13.8 a real possibility. I'm leaning more bullish. I think a NIO is going to try to bounce very soon, and I think the market is going to be adding this upwards pressure that's going to help the company. I'm leaning more in that direction, and I just wanted to make that as clear as possible for this video. So I thank you all for listening. I know NIO has been a little bit slow because of external factors which are not really in NIO's control, but the bottom line is we shouldn't lose faith in the company for little reasons like that. NIO still is a powerhouse of a company which is improving fundamentally, and for the long term, I'm still very bullish as many analysts are continuing to give NIO buy ratings and higher price targets once they get better delivery numbers and strong earnings. I think during earnings, and this is what Deutsche Bank was talking about, guidance may be very strong that could help NIO launch. So we'll just have to wait in that over the next few weeks. Besides that, things are looking good for the company fundamentally. The share price may be a little bit down, but a bounce as soon as tomorrow in my opinion. I want to talk about this thing get back to the 13th. All right. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stock predictions and market insights. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Happy investing and see you in the next video.